Yeah, my scheduling's kind of off when it comes to streaming just because I work, I have a day job, and then I have health issues, so it's just kind of whenever I have time or energy to be able to do it. Normally I game stream lately just because it's easier. And my tablet's been giving me hell on earth for the past couple times I've tried to go and stream. Yeah, I've gotta be careful with mine. I'm typically pretty bad with my health. been a hot moment since I've drawn ponies and stuff like that. I don't think I've really drawn them since college. No, it's called I have chronic suffering. I've got chronic pain. I've got fibro. I tried to self-care, but sometimes it's hard when you have 1,001 ideas you want to get done. Thank you, though. I'm just mostly happy that I'm able to get stream working consecutively from a resting place, because normally when I stream, I have to stream from my living room because my internet doesn't work in my room, but I recently got a Wi-Fi extender, so this stream is kind of me testing that out, and so far it's working perfectly, which is fucking fantastic, yo.
Oh, big stretchy.
I have my cat on the bed with me. And also, yes, of course, Wolf Mom is a princess. Have you seen her? Look at her. Look at her little face. I was actually writing a little bit before I decided to start doing stream. I was writing about Snatcher getting to experience snow for the first time in TLC. And what's really fun about it is he and Eclipse have a line of exchange. And it's really funny when I know that this comes before the reveal of her as a werewolf. Horses actually can't sit like this. You can, but it's not really the most comfortable thing for a horse to sit like this. I just like drawing this position for it's cute. Okay, so fun fact about horses actually. The way I started to draw was I was a horse girl when I was younger. Fun fact about the bun, I can actually ride Western and bareback. So I used to draw a lot of horses. And I have a bit of trouble when it comes to drawing more like standard size horses, but I'm pretty decent at drawing little cheap horses and stuff like that, because I used to be into My Little Pony Friendship is Magic when that was first popular, like before all the brony cons and stuff like that. Like I used to be into it, and then I kind of dropped out of it because I didn't like season 2 or season 3. So yeah, tiny little hooves. This is how I used to draw ponies. Tiny little cloven feet. Tiny little feeties. Never leave me, even as she runs away. She's still romantic me, calm me, hurt me, move me, come my way. Thing with horses, I don't have to design a horse form for him because I had the Kelpie AU, so I'm just stealing his Kelpie design, but making it pony.
Hello, hello.
She is squishy, it's Eclipse. Oh, Mouse. Oh, come on, no, Hatkit's totally a willing courier. She's doing this on purpose. She gets 2 parents when she does it. Sorry, Mouse just sent me an image over Discord involving my Undertale AU. Hold on, guys. I gotta go shut my sister's window because she's at work right now. So, it's snowing. You don't get up, Waddles. You're fine. Diagnosed you with baby. Squishy girl. Well, you want a squishy girl. My cat is a squishy girl. Ah! There goes my mic. Sorry about that. Whoopsie. Oh yeah, I have an Undertale AU. It's called Undergrounded. I think I posted a doodle from it yesterday. Hold on. But here's Rulius, Prince Snatcher, whatever you want to call him. Ruru. Call him Meta-Roo. Snatch Boop. I just also have a crap ton of AUs, like... If you for once could just trust me, just this once. Thank you! Let's see if I have Eclipse's design on my laptop. I moved a lot of files off my laptop not long ago, so not everything's still on here. Mermaid Eclipse, Wolf Girl Eclipse, Yasha AU, Broken Doll AU, Smooching. Steve, this is not your folder. Why are you in here? Honey, can you not kick my feeties? Here's Eclipse. I wouldn't say I'm
best at designing. I just like designing, and my body horror is not that great. I mean, I do some pretty decent body horror, but well, I wouldn't say it's... There's something from Mouse's Anastasia AU. You guys can't see it because of the way I have OBS set up. I'm actually looking through my folder, which is my Hat and Time based stuff. Oh, some body horror of Senna that I did. Yeah, I love seeing all the different ways people do AUs. So like most of my AUs are centered around my OC. So a lot of my AUs are based on Eclipse because I love her. And I forgot I drew that! Oopsie! Glad you can't see into my folder because I totally forgot there was a picture of Snatcher I drew in a reverse bunny suit. Oh, Jesus. Drew Snatcher as Godzilla. But that's not for my AU, that's my best friend Gin also writes, and she borrows Eclipse and stuff sometimes. And I'll do art for her. She has a Jurassic Planet AU, which involves Prince, Aurelius, Eclipse, Moonjumper, Shapeshifter, all of them. Oh, there's my Splatoon designs. Those are fun. This fandom has been my favorite thing to be in for the past year, like, no lie, I love the Hat in Time fandom. At least the section that I'm in. Like, I'm sure there's other sections, but I just... Oh yeah, there was a Moonjumper Eclipse that I designed. Now I'm just looking in my folder, because I can. I forgot I drew that! My pen pressure was acting up the other day, so I drew this. You stop that. I forgot I drew that. Anything over here? Out of context, Lawbound spoiler! Laughing at this picture of Goat just holding the man upside down. Rest in peace, is Aurelius. I'm laughing because y'all, the angst that's coming in the little contractor, the things I'm going to do. I'm laughing so hard because it's so fluffy in TLC right now, and the next couple chapters are pretty fluffy, but the shit I have planned. Oh boy, the shit I have planned. Mouse knows because Mouse is one of my beta readers. So Mouse kind of has a better idea on my, what I have planned coming up. She knows kind of the stuff that I have coming. This one you say, red lock it in your pocket, taking this one to the grave. If you show me you know you won't tell me what I say. Two friends with a secret, one of them is dead. I want to say my Beauty and the Beast one wasn't too angsty. Most of the angst for that one happened beforehand, not to him. I need to make an actual comprehensive list of my AUs someday. Look at this dork! Look at him! My Google Docs is a fucking nightmare. Oh, that's phone stealing. The fandom in general just loves to hurt this man, but he's already hurt in canon, like. A secret, can you keep it? Well, this one you say, better lock it in your pocket, taking this one to the grave. I forgot my cat is sleeping at my feet, and she just kicked me, and I was like, the fuck is touching me? It's Waddles. This is one of my favorite pictures I've drawn of him, just like, look at this man. He has many regrets. Look at the regrets on his face. Meanwhile, confusion. And an 18-year-old having way too much fun with her life. This was from, my sister suggested me doing an Until Dawn. So, that's what I drew. She gave me smooch. Mermaid eclipse. Alright, back to ponies. So I'm gonna hang it up for everyone to see, and you can't stop me. I'm the queen of the castle. Get down, you dirty rascal. Get down. See, that's the kind of thing I love writing, is like the butterfly effect of like if one tiny thing didn't happen. My friend Doodle Improvement actually is working on an AU, or at least they were working on an AU of that kind of thing, where it didn't spiral out of control. What is irrelevant to her soul? Like a man who wears perfume is like a man who left me again. There's the eternal paradox of what it seems. What is he gay? Of course he's gay. Well, you're doing. Look at him, you see they bring their boys up to play in the trying foreign boys. They play peculiar sports in tiny shorts and tiny shorts. Gay or German fella, he has some could take weeks. They both say things like Joanna while they kiss you on the cheek. Okay, gay and European, and many shades of gray. And on the time of day, the French go all the way. Gay and European, with the kind of sand it's like. There's a magic structure that I can't remember. As if I could hear as if I could do the soup. I'm talking about the stoop. Down and never ever wanna be gone. Please only pray genetically, medically, can officially can. Damn it! Ain't no European. So stylish in the eye. Is it no European? I think it's just as well. The their boys are different. It's culturally diverse. It's not a fashion curse. Every face of kids are visitors. The magic without it, I still think I prefer. Yet his accent is hypnotic, but his shoes are pointy toes. Every European, so many shades of gray. Everything's just straight up to your hair on Saturday. bastard. You lying bastard. That's it. I'm no trouble for you no more. I have a big announcement. This man is scared. You gotta stop for being completely closeted. You don't want to see it. No matter what you say, I swear you never, ever seen me ever way. You're so gay, you big party, you raining boy band cabaret. I said you were not yesterday. But if I may, I'm proud to say, he's gay, he's gay, he's gay. Why again, gay forever? Yeah, I have the mic on, but I'm not terribly talkative when my sister's not here, but I still leave my mic on for whatever reason because I'm like that. Alright, where's my color guides? Color guide, color guide. Where's my color guide? Color guide. There's my color guide. There it goes. And thank you! I try to keep my line art pretty clean. I'm a little neurotic with my lines. Fucking mouse going through my Tumblr and finding my old Undertale fan art. crystal clear where I'm meant to go. The next I see the Suddenly, lose control. Found a work in progress from TLC. It makes me giggle still. Look at this poor woman.
You and I, we're not the same. I'm not lost. Whose fate was mine to choose? So I lose the weakness that remains.
There go my headphones.
Mother mighty, you caged at my command. Open up your eyes in the sweet fantasy land. When you grow up and get wise, come now, little one, open up your eyes. The best way to survive is on your own. Open up your eyes, from where I stand, me among the mighty, you keep at my command. Open up your eyes.
I should draw the winter outfits I was designing for them.
you want, but yes I do, yes I do. Going the way so down, should be fine. You should still go out and kill me. You're the other end, so before you say, Beach is smart. BJ is a graduate of Juilliard. He can help try to find it find it and everywhere's the truth.
Hi, Scribs. This is actually based off a coat my coworker was wearing. One of my coworkers had this really nice black pea coat with a hood on it, and it had gold buttons, and I instantly went, I want to draw Rue in that. Because I was writing a snowy based chapter where Rue gets to see snow for the first time. Hello, snowplows! Oh, I should read you part of the chapter that had Mouse squealing when I sent her clips of it earlier. This is also the chapter where Snatcher actually, admits he wants to share a bed with Eclipse. Snow? Snatcher's eyes glimmered with curiosity. Like, real snow. Cold, not just warm. Wait, Eclipse, I don't like the cold, he whined. While he was excited to see snow for the first time in person, he wasn't ready for the cold.
That's why I'm getting you a jacket and some thermals, she grinned. Plus, I'm getting a heater for your room.
He frowned and looked at her with a pout. She tilted her head, confused. What's wrong? My room? He asked with a bit of a whine.
Oh yeah, I got us a cabin with a few rooms. I figured you would want that.
She brushed her hair behind her ear.
You know, instead of being forced to...
I like sharing a bed with you, he grumbled. A few people snickered at the couple's spat as it appeared. Eclipse, it's gonna be too cold without you, and I don't want nightmares. She turned a bright red as she listened to him and frowned.
Well, I was thinking of you, and I didn't. Me.
She played with her hair sheepishly. He moved to take her hands and she looked up as he smiled gently. I would prefer to share space, if that's fine with you. More so if it's going to be rather cold, he chuckled. Please? She stammered as he... Hello again, snowplows! She stammered as he took her hand and kissed the back with a smirk. She stared confused as she felt the heat in her ears. She couldn't make her mouth work. Why was this man always like this?
Is there a big enough bed?
Hattie asked, holding up some mittens.
Mom, I want!
Oh, that is an issue, huh? Snatcher frowned. Eclipse?
There's a king-size bed. Yes, I was gonna let you take that room.
She frowned with a sigh.
I just thought you'd want to be separate, honestly.
Why? He asked softly. If anything, he thought they'd been closer lately.
At night, you sometimes seem afraid when I lay down. I noticed you tense up. I figured it'd be better to be in a separate bed.
She explained as she tried to get her hands back from him, but he held firmly to her annoyance. His face paled. He stared with wide, open eyes. He knew what she meant. He covered his face with shame as he felt his cheeks growing warm. She misunderstood. He got tense at night because he was excited, not because he was afraid. He was afraid she'd pull away. He sighed and gave her a half smile. No, I'm tense for another reason. I said it. I like sharing a bed. More so if it's cold. He got a big cheeky grin and pulled her into hug, then reached down to pull Hattie in as well. I like my family close, he grinned. So, yeah. People seem to it actually makes me genuinely happy how many people seem to like Eclipse. Like, honestly, I was so afraid. I almost never posted her. Like, I actually almost did not introduce Eclipse to the world because I was afraid. Oh yeah, no, the chapter that I just read from, by this point he fully admits that he's Hattie's dad. He just hasn't confessed that he likes Eclipse yet. This chapter comes right before she's revealed as a werewolf. So he hasn't quite gotten to that part yet. But there is a line further down where some snow fairies show up. And Eclipse makes a comment. Eclipse began to pull him along down a side trail. Blue wisp hid in the trees as they moved, boots crunching the snow. There was a sound of bells as small glowing lights appeared to inspect them.
Mom!
Hattie gasped.
Snow fairies.
She frowned and waved a hand.
Shoo!
These two are not yours.
Are they yours then?
One asked curiously.
They smell sweet.
They are mine. Eclipse huffed and Snatcher felt his heart thudding as he heard her say that. His mouth went dry as he looked down at the werewolf as she looked at the fairy with a scrunched expression. You heard the lady. He swung their hands up to show the fae. I'm hers.
Snatcher, don't say it like that.
She turned red in shock. You said it first, he sneered as she stammered.
'Cause we're a family!
Hattie beamed.
Are you real fairies? This is so cool! We're very cool. We're frost sprites.
One sang and bumped her cheek. Eclipse growled and Hattie huffed.
It's fine, Mom. They aren't hurting me.
She sighed. I can't help but worry.
Do not fear. We dare not anger you and this child of sun.
One giggled and flittered around. Snatcher tensed up. Wait, you mean me? He asked and looked down at Eclipse. Why would my... Ah! He gasped. The fire!
You have a warm soul, and we do not wish to melt.
One laughed as they flew around.
Well, then I ask no snowstorms while we're here,
Eclipse huffed.
He turns into a monster when he's soaked, so unless you want to anger him... All right. We'll tell our sisters, brothers, and others.
They sang and flittered off. Hold on, guys. I gotta help my cat. She wants to go out, but she can't get down.
Come here, baby.
Scribs wants your you want your head to... There goes my mic!
God damn it. I keep knocking my mic.
There we go. What's funny though is like even though Rue makes that really smooth comment, here's a fun fact: it still takes him. This chapter happens in March. He does not actually get with Eclipse until July. Like he might admit that, hey, I'm yours and shit like that to the fairies like that, but he does not actually hook up with her officially until her birthday. And it is angsty how they finally get together. And I cannot wait to hurt you guys. I'm so ready to hurt you guys with the end of this chapter arc, because it is bad. I can't wait for the pain train that I have coming, y'all. The pain is so real. Oh, she's coming. Fun fact, I actually, like, almost put a thing with her in...
Hello, Snowplow.
Speaking of... see, the main, like, Vanessa has been showing up. There's been hints to her, and there's gonna be even more hints to her showing up. Like, she's been there the entire time. Snowplow! Fuck off! She's been there the entire time, and when she finally fully shows up, like, you guys are gonna hate me. God, you guys are gonna hate me. It's great. I can't wait for you all to be so pissed off at me. Like, y'all are gonna be so angry, and it's gonna be fantastic. Like, I cannot wait. Yeah, probably for what I have planned. I've just been at this for a while. So this is actually a scene from an upcoming chapter. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chapters ahead. This is from the chapter he admits that he likes her. The Grim. He repeated, watching as she spun around, eyes following every movement. Slowly, his eyes opened wider as he traced her movements. Chuckling, he moved to take her hands, making her gasp. He gave a small smile. "Can I help?" She squeaked as he pulled her closer.
No, you should really go home. I do this alone every year. You need to go home. I'm fine. It's fine.
His face contorted with pity, making her pout. It softened as he reached to hold her face gently, finger running down her large triangular star.
It's fine.
Eclipse. She started to say again, but he cut her off. Eclipse. He seemed more awake, looking at her. Every year? His voice was soft as he spoke. He gripped her hands tightly in his own. Alone? She turned pink as she looked at his sad, golden eyes. She nodded.
I have to. Part of my curse,
she admitted softly. So it's called a Grimm's curse, he stated with a sigh. Can I help? He asked again, a bit firmer in his tone. She stared, confused.
Why would you want to? You can't help. I don't think. It's fine. I'm fine.
He rolled his eyes. Is it complicated? Do you have to use magic for this? He asked as he continued to hold her hand in his. He looked at her as he scowled.
No, I just have to dance and trigger the spell markers.
She chuckled, trying to pull away. He moved closer, his other hand moving to small of her back. If it's dancing, then let me help you. You shouldn't spend a festival alone. He gave her that same gentle smile he'd given her earlier in the day. Please, let me help you, like you helped me. She felt her face grow warm as he looked at her. She frowned before giving a heavy sigh. She couldn't help a small grin as she looked at him in his night clothing and giggled.
Thank you, Snatcher. Really, but I have to do it alone. You aren't really dressed to take part,
She admitted.
This is an honor to the deceased, not the pajamas type of event.
He looked down, embarrassed and huffed. Well, I was sleepwalking and woke up to us talking.
Is that it?
She teased and poked his nose.
Mr. Sleepwalking Eel, should I strap you to the bed next time?
He chewed his lip, ashamed. I don't sleepwalk that often. He blinked as a few wisps flew in, startling him. He backed up a few steps as they giggled and gathered.
What are...
Eclipse gasped, hand covering her mouth. The wisps closed in on the prince, some even nuzzled the prince, burning his clothing with bright blue flames. Eclipse's eyes grew wide as she watched. Hey! He snapped, shocked as they seemed to take a silver tone. He tried to get the fire off and stopped as he noticed the fabric had changed. He paused, looking at his pajamas were replaced with a simple silver robe matching the woman's gown. He turned a light red as he lifted his arms to look. I didn't know the wisp did that. He spun around and scowled. A cape? Really? Do I look like a cape-wearing prince?
Neither did I,
She admitted as one nuzzled her face.
She laughed as she sighed. Full of surprises, aren't you, little ones?
She laughed as they dispersed amongst the trees. She looked at the former prince who adjusted a cuff and decided he really did look good in any color he wore. As she looked up and down at him, she noticed his bare feet and laughed.
Well,
She held a hand to the shocked man. The bells chimed gently with the movement. She gave him a soft smile, fangs peeking from her lips. He looked at her in her gentle smile, his heart racing as the wisp chittered around them. He sighed and gave a smile back, taking her hand. He gasped when a few wisps pushed him closer to her. He took both her hands as he chuckled. Shall we then? Want to explain the process, since the wisps seem to want me to help?
she gave a sharp laugh. Yes, first you need to walk in line. It's an offering to the earth as we dance.
She brought him towards the shallow dish. He winced as he stepped in it and shuddered. It's cold, he gasped.
Yes, this is a festival for the deceased. They suck the warmth away. This is one reason I'm so very warm.
She laughed loudly and took his hands, leading him. I see, he admitted sheepishly. He looked confused as she moved to place a bracelet on his arm. Bells?
They summon the wisps and threads of chance.
She laced her fingers to his as she began to sway and dance, the bells chiming.
There's no real formal way to dance. We just dance to create movement, ring the bells, create energy.
He took her lead and began to glide across the forest floor with her, the two starting to loosen up as they laughed, bells chiming as they danced. He spun her around as they twirled around the trees, sparkling lights appearing on the branches like ice. Blue threads draped the trees like garlands, and wisps danced like ornaments. As they moved, the forest began to grow brighter as they moved, and more wisps gathered, being called by the sound of the bells, the glowing foliage twinkling softly as they danced. You do this alone? Every year? The whole woods? He asked as he spun her close, holding her tightly. Since my father died, I've had to.
I missed a few years when I was young, so it was a little rough getting into it. Marcus helped guide me, she admitted sheepishly.
I see, he scowled. I told him to tell me if I could help you with your curse at all.
She turned bright red. Why would you want to help with my curse? She squeaked. You said something earlier too about it, she pouted.
He looked down at her confused. You helped me with mine on the daily. Eclipse. He moved to brush her cheek, causing her to glow even redder. He noted and snickered. What's the matter, dancing fairy? Don't like a prince offering you his full He gasped when she shoved up on his face in embarrassment.
Stop teasing me! I need to finish my duty.
She pulled away, running a bit into the woods, the chiming fading as she covered her face with her hands. He rubbed his cheek as he saw her run. He sighed and chased after her with a stupid grin on his face. Wisp lit the path as the bracelet on his arm sang in the cold night air. She stopped in the clearing as he entered, and the moon glowed in the sky. He looked up to see red stripes appearing along it as she stood there. He walked slowly over and stood beside her. Wisp began to file and dance. Eclipse looked at him with a red face.
Don't make me mess this part up with your stupid teasing.
I won't, he chuckled. In the moonlight, her eyes seemed to glow, and the way her features stood out, he couldn't help staring at her. His eyes landed on his lips, and he felt his face grow warm and looked away ashamed of the thoughts he had.
I do need to do this alone, she smiled softly. Don't watch. It's embarrassing.
She gave a nervous laugh as she looked up at him. Oh, now I want to watch more, he teased. She puffed her cheek up annoyed. Fine, fine. He held his hands up and backed up. He gave one last look before he moved to cover his eyes. But then further down, he noticed his clothing had returned to normal and sighed in relief. He rolled his shoulders a bit and set a clips down on the couch. He sat on the edge and brushed her hair from her face as he smiled. A dancing fairy. Yeah, I get that now. You're full of surprises, huh? He chuckled and looked around nervously before he bent down and gently placed a kiss on her cheek. He couldn't help smiling as she grinned in her sleep. He laid down and shifted closer to her. He laughed as she nuzzled against him.
Cool pack,
she mumbled as she nestled into his chest. He snickered and wrapped his arms around her and shifted the blanket over them. He closed his eyes as he held onto her. He nestled his face into her hair as he held on. He sighed as he gave her a gentle squeeze. His heart was pounding. He was tired, but he couldn't get the forest out of his mind. How she looked. She reminded him so much of Estelle that he knew she was dead. He shifted to look at her as she rested and gave a small smile. To think just a few months ago he'd been in the ocean, and now, he huffed, he was a freeloader in a single woman's home. He snickered to himself. He looked at his hand and brought it to his mouth as he rolled onto his back. He gasped, feeling Cliff shift to keep snuggled against him. He moved his arm under her head and rubbed her shoulder. She gave a small sigh. He stared at the ceiling as he held onto her. He peeked at her with a soft smile. She was nuzzled against him. He felt his heart pound and looked back at the ceiling with a pursed expression. No. No, no, no. He wasn't. He couldn't. He told himself that wasn't it. He gripped his face with his free arm as he thought about it. His heart pounded. He looked at the sleeping woman with how her hair framed her round face. Her long lashes shut tightly as she breathed slowly. His heart was so loud he was shocked she didn't wake up. He groaned. Shit, he grumbled. He thought of Cookie's teasing, Conrad's, Kraft's. He thought of his own reactions to her and felt his face grow hotter and hotter. He didn't want to admit. He didn't. He looked at her again and sighed sadly. He resigned himself. He'd fallen for Eclipse. Hook, line, and sinker. The kid had gotten her wish. He liked her mom. He frowned as he covered his mouth ashamed. Go figure, you get dragged from the ocean, and the person you meet threatens you with a knife, and you fall in love with her. He sighed and grabbed his phone. It was already 5 a.m. He frowned. He didn't realize they'd spent so long in the woods. Eclipse shifted as she placed an arm over his chest, and he sighed. He liked Eclipse. He was a sea monster. He had no idea how modern courtship worked. He groaned. Someone covered his face with his hand. He didn't want to ask the kid. He knew that was a can of overexcited worms. He couldn't ask her dad's. DJ made it quite clear he didn't want him dating his daughter the month before. He really didn't want to try with Conrad, who pulled a gun on their first meeting either. He could ask Cookie, but that didn't feel right. Aiko he hadn't really gotten to know. Sarah and Midgie barely knew. That left Kraft and Senna. Senna was off the list. He didn't seem to like him. But Kraft? Could he get even get a response from Kraft? Would it be worth it to ask Eclipse to be courted? He looked at her as she slept. Would she be upset? Would she throw him in the ocean? He didn't want to ruin the friendship they already had. His last relationship turned him into a freak. He pinched his nose and grunted as he felt a weight on his chest. What's wrong, kiddo? He spoke softly as Hattie sniffled. She nuzzled against him as he moved her over back. Nightmare? He asked softly. She gave a silent nod. He moved her mother's arm and shifted. Come on, under the covers. He kept his voice low as she curled up between them. Eclipse moved an arm to wrap it around her daughter, holding her protectively. Snatcher rolled to his side to hug them both. Feel better? He asked her.
Uh-huh.
She whimpered as he stroked the top of her head. Do you want to talk about it? He asked. Sometimes it helps them seem less scary.
She sighed. Mom was gone. Everyone around me was mocking me, but I didn't know anything.
He frowned as he listened. No, you know a lot. He smiled in the dark. You know the Slip-a-thon Snatcher's favorite food. You know a demon king. You know a mermaid. You know how to zip line. She gave a small giggle.
You're a great scrapbooker,
Eclipse mumbled.
a wonderful swimmer.
She hummed softly.
My little troublemaker.
Hattie laughed as her mom kissed her cheek and nuzzled her as she held on. Snatcher grinned and moved to hold them closer. He shifted to remove Eclipse's headdress and set it on Hattie. And as you see, your mother's right here. She's not going anywhere anytime soon. He kissed her forehead.
Mom's not going anywhere if she can help it, she chuckled. I love you far too much.
Hattie gave a small sigh as she closed her eyes. Eclipse smiled and hummed softly until she was sure the girl had fallen asleep. She looked at Snatcher as his eyes glowed softly and she chuckled.
What?
She asked. I thought you'd sleep like a log, he admitted as she shifted how he held the two.
I'll always wake up if Hattie opens her door, she winked. I'm her mother, she frowned. I just want her safe.
He gave her a gentle squeeze. And you're doing a good job.
I try. I'm trying.
She flinched when his hand shifted and rubbed her cheek. He smiled at her. Merry moon, he whispered. Let's try to get some more sleep. I'll cook pancakes with that nice thick bacon you got.
Chewy?
She asked with a giggle as he stroked her cheek. Just this once, he agreed.
Exciting, she sang.
Eclipse?
Yes?
She stared at him as she hugged Hattie tightly.
What's wrong?
Thank you for letting me help you tonight. Her face flushed. Next year, let me help again. He asked as he rested his hand on her cheek. He could feel how warm she was. If there's anything at all I can do to ease your suffering and curse, let me help you.
She frowned some, moving his hand off her cheek. I'll think about it.
Alright, I'll take it for now. He chuckled as he shut his eyes.
Merry Moon, Aurelius.
His heart thudded as she spoke his name.
Why do people keep liking that one image? It's a fucking work in progress. I posted the finished one. Like the finished one.
But yeah, that's what this is from. Cheeky Wisp gave him a fancy princely outfit to dance with Eclipse. I actually posted this a while ago. I think I posted this around Thanksgiving, Christmas time. And I was just like, out of context, spoilers. Actually, no, I posted this back in October, because I drew this when I finished the Halloween chapter, because I jumped right into working on the Christmas chapter, which is what that is, because it's Moon Festival in this instead of Christmas. So this is from way back in October. I sketched this originally, so if that tells you how far ahead and shit I've been working.
happiest mom has got it going on.
You know what's really great though? I'm just loving the fact I can stream in my bedroom and it's not bad connection. Please understand how happy this actually makes me. Like, I don't think I can describe just how happy I am that I'm streaming from my room without having to be worried about it disconnecting. Because normally, it disconnects. But it's not disconnecting, it's all good, and it makes me so happy that it's good. Let's dress up. Me out like I was trash and that you should be dead. Then it hit me like a flash. What if high school went away and said those assholes are the key to keeping you away from me? They made you blind, messed up your mind, but I can set you free. You left me and I fell apart and crushed the walls and stuff. Bam, 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 and you changed my heart. Left loose all that truthful shit inside until I built a bomb. Tonight our school's in Vietnam. Guaranteed they never see their senior prom. I was meant to be yours. We were meant to be one. Don't give up on me now. Finish what we begun. I was meant to be yours. When the high school gym goes free with everyone inside. When the world below between went this note explaining why we died. All the bars make me get free. To you, your society turns out colors and blue. I think some students are just a full we'll watch the smoke go down. Bring marshmallows, bring no smoke. We can sit and cuddle while the fire burns. I was meant to be yours. You were meant to be one. I can't take it away. Feel it all we can find. Open the door, please, Veronica. Open the door, Veronica. Can we not fight anymore? Please, can we not fight anymore? I'm just very independent. I can set you free. Veronica, don't make me come back. I'm gonna count to 3. 1, 2, 5. let's look at her first date with Mario, aka setting off the feud between the Mafia and her dads. She looked down with a forced smile. She knew blind dates meant there wasn't much pre-setup of matching, but he stood maybe to just under her bust in height. His hair slicked back with far too much product, his mustache spiked on the end. His gray eyes looking at her with a hunger in them. He reeked of cheap cologne sprayed so heavily as to try masking the disgusting scent of fish coming off of him. She wanted to run right there, but she didn't want to be rude. She gave a smile best she could, despite the fact his scent was giving her a dizzying migraine. She cursed the upcoming full moon and gave a polite bow. "Good evening," she greeted. You are quite attractive!" He cackled as she felt her face twitch. "I'm Mario Mafisio, but you can call me your boyfriend." He smirked. "I'm glad I got paired to you. Mind you tell me your age?" He grinned.
"I'm 19,
She frowned, not liking the direction this was in already.
as of last June."
I don't know why it says June, her birthday's in July.
"As of last July."
Perfect! Almost 2 decades! 2 decades. Why did that sound off to her? She scowled and he scoffed at her. "Don't make that face, you should smile." She curled her lips back, revealing her sharp teeth, and he gasped. "How atrocious! Once for a facial, you need to see a dentist." He scoffed as they headed into the restaurant. Once sat, she couldn't help wanting to go. She was already having a rough time, and he continued to talk. And talk. And she wasn't listening. She didn't want to listen. Before they ordered, he went on about how she should get a salad, and he'd order a wine and let her sip his glass. She stood up.
"I need to use the restroom, excuse me."
She smiled and headed off. She heard him mutter about her being ungrateful and grimaced. She wanted to go home to her baby, not be told she needed to wash her figure since she was young. Noticing him watching, she went into the ladies' room and sighed in relief, seeing a window. She looked at the dimensions, looked at the stalls to see she was alone, and threw it open. She stripped down and put her clothing on the sill before climbing out and changing into her half-wolf form and putting her clothing in her muzzle. In the alleyway, she smelt the rain on the wind and swapped to her full wolf form, noting she seemed a bit larger than last time she transformed inside. Seemed she was still growing to her dismay. Squeezing from the alleyway, she ran through the back streets, careful to avoid being seen, and the rain started to come down. Whining, she took shelter in an alley and sat beside some dumpsters and changed back, glad to be far enough away he couldn't chase her. She stopped when she heard a door and looked at the woman standing there, wide, green-yellow eyes staring at the half-transformed werewolf.
Please don't turn me in, don't scream!"
She begged as she fully changed down to human form, the rain making her silver hair stick to her face.
"I'm not dangerous right now, I promise. I just had to get away from a bad date."
"I have to say this is the oddest thing I've seen tonight, but not the oddest in my life." The woman rubbed her eyes. "Come on in, let me get you a coffee. You look like a wet rat." She laughed in her heavy southern accent. Eclipse stared and gave a lopsided grin.
"Okay."
She had to play it safe and cautious. She'd call her dad later if it went further south.
"You smell really nice. Were you making a filet mignon with cayenne?"
She asked. "I was, you can tell." She laughed and led her into the building. The cooking school was mostly dark. I was making some for my girlfriend, and I had to munch on when I get home. Easier to use the stoves here.
"You smell deliciously of raw meats and seasoning," Eclipse laughed. "I was just at De Lumine downtown," she sighed. "Shame I had to leave."
"I used to work there," the woman chuckled. "I'm Cookie. I own this little school. And who are you, Miss Wolf?" She raised her brow.
Eclipse turned red. "A wet moronic wolf?" She laughed. "Are you going to turn me in?"
"No, I can get running from a date."
"I'm Eclipse. Eclipse Nightingale."
"Well, Miss Nightingale, let's get you that coffee, and you can relax until the rain stops."
"Thank you." She gave a small smile. "I hope Hallie's okay," she whined.
"Hattie?" Cookie asked.
"My little girl. She's 2. Eclipse beamed. "I wanted to run all the way home, but the rain was too much to get through," she explained. "My dads are watching her." She watched the woman pull out the coffee pot and reach to help.
"So, Wolf, is that normal round here?" Cookie finally asked. Eclipse tensed up.
"No, I'm unique in my affliction," she laughed.
"It's a good thing I'm already tired, or I may freak out more. But honestly, I'm just curious. You don't bite, do you?"
"Only if my partner is into it. I like bites, but can't transfer if that's what you're asking."
I see. Good to know. Hungry? She grinned. I want to try something and I've never had a strong enough stomach for it.
Eclipse blinked. Depending?
Meat ta-ta, Cookie explained. Most are afraid of the raw meat and egg.
Oh, I'd love to. I can eat raw just fine.
Eclipse grinned. Cookie smiled. Perfect. Pretty much, that's the whole point. I want to make him a creep. Hold on. Where's bringing down the house? Fun fact, I have like all the next 20 chapters of TLC pulled up in on my tabs because I keep them open until I post them.
Eclipse leaned against the wall with a sigh. There was a noise. The noise from the gym was bothering her ears, a headache pinching in the back of her head. She held the water bottle to her forehead and closed her eyes. It was too soon after a moon. Her head was still recovering from being stuck in wolf form.
Miss Nightingale.
She cracked an eye with a heavy sigh. She stood up straight and looked down as she put a hand on her hip.
He pulled his mustache as he grinned. You've been causing a lot of trouble. Isn't it about time you answered for it?
She rolled her eyes with another sigh. Are we really going to do this again, you old fogey?
She sneered as he gasped in shock. I see, so that is how you're wanting to play it.
He snarled and snapped his fingers as a few men entered behind her in the hall, and a few behind him as he snickered.
I will show you once and for all. You should have...
Her heel met his face as she snarled. I am not going to date you! I'm not going to let you have your way with the bae. I'm not going to let your snot-nosed niece bully my kid! She growled. She swung back, whacking one goon with her hand. She stomped down on another's foot. Her head was pounding. So pack off!
You heard her.
She looked as she saw Snatcher glaring, hissing as he did. Snap. She gasped when one grabbed her and she bit down hard on his hand, drawing blood. Snatcher snarled and pushed the man aside, trying to get to her as they struggled. Eclipse ripped her dress and pulled her knife, stabbing back into one of her attackers and running towards the merman. He pulled her close with a growl in his throat. She clenched her eyes tight. She frowned, hearing a pop.
Who do you think you are? Mario shouted as his men tried to attend to the wounds inflicted by the woman. Aurelius Pecking Law!
He sneered as Eclipse blinked.
She raised a brow and frowned. He grinned. What? I thought that was a fun line.
She rolled her eyes. I thought you hated your real name, Subcon Snatcher. She reached to place a hand on his cheek as he laughed. Mario's eyes widened as he watched Snatcher wrap his arms around her waist, and she glared at the Mafia boss with those mismatched eyes.
So, who's this weirdo anyway? He gasped as he glared. He frowned as he felt that familiar burning sensation. I'm on a time limit.
Calm down. She took a deep breath. I don't need you to have a freak out when I already have a headache.
He smiled and shifted to press his cheek against her as she giggled. Mario's eyes twitched at the two's closeness. Mr. Law, I ask you to remove yourself from that woman. This is between she and I. The man snarled. She owes me for what she did. Snatcher frowned and moved, pushing Eclipse behind his back. She huffed as he towered over the mafia boss and his eyes glowed slightly. Eclipse, correct me if I'm wrong, Snatcher stated. This guy, is he the head of that horrible merchandise? She nodded. Mm-hmm. Mario produces most of the merch for the city. She grinned, arms around the man's waist. I told you, the Mafia runs most of the subcon Snatcher madness, and he's the one in charge of what happened at the festival. She growled. I see. So Mario. Snatcher stood straight as he sneered down. Do you know the repercussions of using someone's likeness for profit without legal permission? He gnashed his teeth as he felt his fingers sticking together. I do not know what you're going on about. This matter is something between her and I. She owes me for 10 years of shame, Mario shouted. Eclipse scoffed. Me leaving in the middle of a blind date is not something I owe you for. Snatcher blinked and looked back with a cheesy grin. Is that what this is about? Sorta. She stuck her tongue out. I turned him down because he's an asshole. He's been throwing a fit in fights with my dad's over diving schools. She sighed and pressed her face into the merman's back. My head hurts, she grumbled. Your fin is out, she noted. I'm aware. I felt it pushing through my skin. He sighed as he looked down. There's still an issue of using my face on your merchandise without permission. Your face? Mario gasped. You must be a lunatic! No, I'm the lunatic. Eclipse deadpanned. She gripped Snatcher's shirt as he turned to see a few more men. I don't want to fight. I want to sleep. Then sleep with me! Mario laughed, gasping when Snatcher punched him in the face. Mario growled as he grabbed Eclipse's discarded water and threw it in the man's face. Snatcher gasped as he spat, and his already started transformation began to speed up. Eclipse gasped as he fell backwards on top of her. She tried to move it as he writhed, bones splitting as he lashed out. Mario could only stare in horror as he fell to the ground as the Leviathan rapidly began to fill the school hallway. Aurelius! Eclipse gasped as she felt his weight increase. She clawed at the floor, trying to pull out, but due to her exhaustion, she felt her body snapping a bit. She screamed as she heard a crack. She saw plaster falling as the merman tried to move. What the heck? Mario could only mumble as a yellow puddle formed beneath him as Snatcher hissed in frustration. Oh shit! Came a panicked voice as Rent came barreling down the hall. Snatcher recoiled in pain as the runes glowed like a collar around him. He flipped, smashing through a wall. Eclipse gasped and panted as she was freed from beneath him. She coughed, spitting up blood as she panted. Forcing herself to her feet, she leaned against the wall as her blue threads spun and gripped the Leviathan, tying him down. He whined as he laid tied up. He blew his hair from his face as he glared at Mario, who was staring in shock. I'll see you in court. The Leviathan growled. He thudded the end of his tail angrily as people began to gather. Ren began to chant and the area seemed covered in a mist, other teachers helping move the students to safety. He sighed. Now, can you go cast a minor memory erasure? And call Prometheus! He shouted at the curly-haired school nurse who sighed, rolling their eyes. Yeah, I'll see what I can do. They responded with another sigh. Clean this up. Waving a hand as green magic swirled, they helped usher the witnesses away. Ren put a hand to his hip as he walked over, stepping over unconscious mafia goons. He frowned. So, this is what you look like. Interesting. It's annoying, Snatcher frowned. I just heard shouting, came out to find him ganging up. Eclipse! His eyes went wide and he tried to turn to her. He panicked seeing the blood down her front as she was breathing heavily against the wall. Oh no. Ren frowned as he moved over. He knelt to help her shift as she went. She gasped. Careful, careful, careful! I think my ribs are broken, she coughed. I thought you could regenerate. Ren spoke slowly as he waved a hand in flowing rings. Not very well if it's internal, she rasped. He landed on me when he shifted, and a ton of weight ain't great when I'm pretty low on magic. I see. I can't fix it. You'll need to go to the hospital, he frowned. Sorry.
It's alright.
She coughed again as she saw Hattie running beneath Nell's arms.
Mom!
She knelt down and she started crying.
What happened? Everyone's freaking out!
Mafia's full of idiots, Snatcher responded, the girl turning to see him as the blue threads dissipated. He groaned and looked at Eclipse with a frown. I'm sorry, he chewed his lip. This is...
Thank you for protecting me.
Eclipse cut him off as she laughed.
Snatch.
She smiled as she fell forward against the science teacher who held her gently. Eclipse! Snatcher gasped, wincing as Ren waved more rooms to subdue him. She's just in a lot of pain. I think I stopped any bleeding, but she needs a doctor. So yeah, that's coming up. Snatcher is not very happy with the man. She's just in a lot of pain. I think I stopped any bleeding, but she needs a doctor. Ren shifted her against the wall gently and stood up. How long until you're back? When I stop being stressed out and wet? Snatcher sighed as he reached a hand to pet Hattie's head. Kiddo, it's gonna be alright.
But Mom is...
She looked at her mother with tears dripping down. She gasped as she was lifted up. Kaya looked at the Leviathan with a heavy sigh. Brace yourself. He grimaced as ribbons glowed on her hands, black threads ensnaring him as he was forced to shift against the natural magic of his body. He panted in pain with a scream as he had a bunch of clothing thrown at him. Lots of structural damage. A man with long black hair frowned as he looked around. Scales showed on his cheek as his eyes narrowed to slits. Casualties? Only injuries, it seems. Kaya's voice was cold and dry. She looked at the werewolf and moved Hattie up on her shoulder. She reached and picked her up. Aurelius, give your statement to Jacob. I'll take her to Owl General, she stated with a sharp glare from her golden eyes. Jacob, clean it up. Use form RT-698. Permission granted for use of amnesiac magic on the populace. News reporters detained and fed false information. File form HGU 887, subsection 5529.
Kaya, is Mom gonna be okay?
Hattie whimpered as the shadows swirled at the teenager's feet. We'll see. Snatcher began to pull the outfit he was given on with a heavy sigh. He brushed his hair back as he got up. He looked at the young man whose dark eyes seemed tired as he filled out paperwork and looked at the damages, taking photos with a camera. Ren stared at where the demoness had been, his green eyes wide. Tonight's a long night. A new young man sighed, walking over with a couple of young women at his side. How's it look, Jay? Not as bad as it seemed on the phone. Jacob scratched his neck. If you and Maki get working, Tiff and I can get statements. Helsing said we can use amnesiac magic in the boiler explosion excuse with a chemical gas hallucinogenic subsection. He sighed as he flicked his hair over his shoulder. The newcomer brushed his hair back, revealing an empty eye socket, and he grabbed an elastic from the wrist. Tying the red and black hair up, he rolled his sleeves, and markings began to glow. The runes carved in his flesh turned black as he wandered around, and the rubble began to lift and merge back to the walls. The pink-haired woman following suit, a flute to her mouth as she played, and the winds began to move more rubble. The blonde woman huffed as she produced the clipboard and walked over to where Mario was staring blankly and stammering.
Ooh, boy! Jay, we have a normie. Seems he went into shock.
She laughed.
Shall I use FA666? She asked.
I'm iffy. Helsing hates when we use that form. Let's just use a normal ambulance for those injured. Jacob looked at Snatcher, who gripped his arms tightly as he chewed his lip, blood dripping. He gave a sympathetic smile. Don't sweat it. I'm sure you didn't mean it. I just wanted to keep her safe. Snatcher spoke softly, and I hurt her. Again. Tears fell down his cheeks to the floor. I'm an irresponsible monster. No, you're an idiot. Ren sighed. If you stayed in the gym with Harriet, I'm sure Eclipse would have been fine. The man frowned. Byron, wrong rune. You changed that to a Gariak. The red and black-haired man tensed up. Shit, you're right. He tapped his arm as the markings shifted on his skin. Thanks. Of course, Ren frowned. Maki, C flat for repair, not shop. You're playing off key again, he corrected. The woman froze as she turned with bright green eyes. She paled as she looked at him. What are you? Been a while. Hello again. He smiled maliciously. Ridiculous, not right now. Jacob sighed with a wave of his hand. Look, Helsing is all... He froze and stared. Ren narrowed his eyes at the man. Jacob gulped. Let's get these forms done. Archmage. Right. Ren chuckled as he watched Snatcher's eyes grow wide. Wait then! He pointed at him, gasping as threads caught his neck. Don't freak out more. We can discuss it on a calmer day. Like after I figure out who that woman was. Ren looked at where Kaya had teleported from. Helsing. Jacob began to sweat. Oh boy, here we go again.
I can go home tomorrow. Eclipse sighed as she tried to adjust in the bed, wincing. I heal faster than some people, but... She frowned. Snatcher, stop making that face. I'll be okay.
She smiled at him as he sat beside her hospital bed. He scowled.
Too bad no cast I can draw on.
Hattie frowned as she leaned across her mother's lap.
So we can't go to market? Not until I'm fully healed. No heavy lifting. I have to ice it regularly. I can't lay down or sit down all day to keep fluid buildup down. No extraneous activity.
She sighed as she explained.
So no work until next month. She chewed her thumb. Annoying. Had a good job lined up too.
Snatcher looked at his hands as he listened. I see. He flinched as she gently reached and held his cheek. He looked at her and frowned.
You didn't run this time.
She teased as he turned red. I said I wouldn't. I signed a contract. He grumbled and reached to put a hand over hers. Are you sure you're not upset? I did this.
No, Mario was an asshole.
She sighed as she reached to make him look at her.
Snatcher, listen to me. I'm gonna be alright. She laughed. You've seen me. I'm covered in scars. A few broken ribs and a bruised lung. I'll live.
Yes, but... He gasped when she flicked his nose. He reached to cover it as Hattie laughed. He patted his head as he gave an unsure smile. He hung his shoulders as he sighed. He leaned into Eclipse's hand as she stroked his cheek.
I want steak, she stated. Hospital food sucks even though they have my files.
She puffed her cheek up.
A big steak. Raw!
Not raw. He laughed and moved to stand. I'll make sure we have a big steak. We can use the grill too, he offered. Cookie dropped an ice cream maker off too.
Her eyes glimmered. She finally brought it over?
She jolted and winced. Hey, calm down, relax. He fretted as he shifted to help her lay back. Man, I need to lose some weight, huh? He tried to jest as she laughed. What kind of guy am I for break ribs? She laughed and coughed. He frowned as he brushed her hair back. He just couldn't figure out what was going on in her head. He hurt her, twice now, as a monster, and she just laughed it off like it was nothing. He sighed as she stroked her head. Maybe the kid had a point. Maybe he hurt her twice and she was still fine with him. Maybe she didn't really care he was a monster.
Mom, we should go swimming, Hattie offered. I bet it'll make your bruises feel good in cold water.
Snatcher laughed as the kid pulled him from his thoughts. No, kiddo, swimming would be harder on her lungs. Just rest. You know, she's better at Death Wish than you.
What? No way! Hattie huffed. Those are for me!
She pouted.
Sorry, sweetie. I saw someone. I was bored.
Eclipse snickered as she leaned into Snatcher, petting her head. I'll make more. Maybe that's what we'll do as you heal. Help me make death wishes for the kiddo. He chuckled as he pulled his hand away. I'm sorry this had to happen when you just got back from my brother's, too.
If it had happened before the moon, I would have been fine.
She sighed heavily as she moved to fix her hair. Post-moon, I'm always a bit more off because of the strain on my body. Snatcher frowned. Are you sure you don't want me to come with you next time? I'm sure if we ask, Kaya will babysit Hattie, he offered. He hated how she had to be alone and strained. If she had been fine without the moon... He clenched his fist tightly as he looked at her with a stern gaze. Please, let me go next time. No. She was firm in her tone. She gripped her bedsheets with a small growl. No, Snatcher, you can't come with me. I refuse to accidentally hurt you. And yet it's fine if I hurt you? He asked back in a low tone. He narrowed his eyes and messed with his hands as he fidgeted. Eclipse, you can't just let me throw you in a hospital and then say,
Just not yet.
She frowned and gripped the blanket.
Let me finish sorting my thoughts on something. Maybe I'll let you go to the moon after, she sighed. I just don't want you to.
Her voice grew soft.
I don't want you to be angry with me.
Tears began to drip down her cheeks.
I don't want either of you to be angry with me.
But yeah, so that's gonna be coming up. Oops, that's what I used the word in my tablet.
Thank you for coming by.
Until the next time.